Hello again. There have always been murders in Britain by the use of edged weapons. For example, in the early part of the 20th century, open or cutthroat razors were frequently used in homicides in this country. These crimes, though, almost always involved people known to the attacker. Usually they were family members. And nearly always they also took place indoors. They were domestic affairs. They were something that happened in the home. Of course, there were occasional exceptions, madmen like Jack the Ripper, say, but generally speaking, those were two features of murders in Britain traditionally. They took place indoors and they were usually involving family and friends. Since the year 2000, though, there's been an increasing number of woundings and killings by people wielding knives, where the attack victims are quite unknown to their assailants and the attacks take place out of doors, in the street or in the park. These random attacks are, more often than not, the work of Muslims. This does not, of course, tell us anything about Muslims in general, but it is definitely the case that when you read about a multiple stabbing of strangers out of doors, the person responsible is more likely to be a Muslim than he is a Hindu, Christian or Jew. So it was that when a little over a year ago news broke that a frenzied attempt had been made in central London to stab two police officers to death, many people assumed immediately that the man responsible would probably be a Muslim. Of course, they were right, and a few days later, Mohammed Rahman was found guilty of the attempted murder of a police officer, as well as inflicting GBH on another at Leicester Square in September 2022. In the same way, when a man went on a stabbing spree at a French school earlier this month, many of us took it for granted that the fellow who had killed one teacher and gravely injured a couple of other staff at the school would also turn out to be Muslim. Sure enough, the name of the man arrested has now been revealed as Mohammed Mughkov. All these Mohammeds. So it is that when we hear that a man in a hotel full of asylum seekers in the English town of Hartlepool went mad with a knife yesterday, stabbed somebody in the hotel and then rushed out into the street and hacked a random passerby to death, we can pretty easily guess that he too was a Muslim, as has now been confirmed by the fact that the anti-terrorist police have been called in. In both Britain and France, the same pattern may be seen, that when people are stabbed to death during a rampage by a lone individual carried out against people he doesn't know and has never met, then the odds are that this person will be a Muslim. Not all such attackers are motivated by religious extremism, of course, but the truth is that some religions and ethnicities are more given to this kind of thing than others. I wonder how many cases in Britain people can cite where a British person from a non-Muslim background suddenly took it into his head to go out into the street and start stabbing a bunch of strangers. We know that when this happens, the man is more likely to be called Muhammad than he is David or James. Why this should be the case is an interesting point, but that it is the case is undeniable. I need hardly add, I suppose, that this tells us a good deal about the nature of random stabbing sprees, but nothing at all about Muslims in general.